Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
What is going on, folks? Pleasure to have your company. We are coming to you live today from our NBC Sports home here in Studio 2. And we've got a really fun show set up for you today. A couple of multiple-time winners amongst the professional ranks will be joining us in just a few minutes to talk about, what we've seen in 2024, but what does it foretell in terms of 2025? But first, let's take a look at that which took place this past weekend. Let's start with the PGA Tour and the Zozo Championship. The Zozo Championship, as you know, was held in Japan. Nico Echeverria was able to etch his second win on the PGA Tour. And to do it, he had to battle alongside of a couple of players, Max Grayson and one Justin Thomas. And for Justin Thomas, who hit so many putts that looked so good that just refused to drop, afterwards, the All-Star spoke about what went well and maybe what didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture of obviously bummed and disappointed, but I played so well. I played plenty well enough to win the tournament. Hit so many good putts today that just didn't go in. That's the difference. I needed some of those ones that burned the edge to fall, but no, I mean, I gave myself a chance. I would have really loved that putt on 17 to fall, just to be top for the lead. I felt like being one back of two people coming into 18 is a tough task to accomplish, but I did a lot of things really well. I made one bogey in 72 holes and had a great chance. Just wasn't my week. A lot of positives. I mean, the stuff I've been working on, everything I've been doing is obviously the right stuff, and I'm still going the right direction. Just got to keep trying to put myself in contention and right there as often as I can, and just kind of hope for a law of averages thing. Eventually you end up getting it done, but it's just about putting yourself there more. They were great. The Japanese fans all week were awesome. I wanted to obviously win it for myself, but I felt a lot of support from the fans out there, so it would have been cool to get it done. I feel like for them a little bit, but I always am very, very gracious and very happy to be able to come and play in front of the Japanese fans, and they're always so nice, so hospitable, and it's always a treat to be able to come here and play. For sure. I think any of us, we love the opportunity to get to play in different places, let alone a completely different part of the world. It's not only an opportunity for us to play different golf courses in front of a different, setting and grow our brand and kind of, have the opportunity to grow the game of golf, but it's it's an opportunity for us to travel and see some great places and compete in different in a completely different part of the world. So it's always a treat.
JT, after the Zozo Championship, I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to see Nico Echeverria when he was talking to his parents afterwards. It was a really cute video. You could see he was emotional. He was weeping, talking to his parents. They were in Colombia, and they stayed up late to watch him. And you could hear them in the background going, Nico, Nico. It was really fun and very, very cool. So a second win for him at the Zozo Championship, second win on the PGA Tour. At the Genesis Championship, that was taking place in South Korea, and you had a couple of huge stars from South Korea and Ben An and in Tom Kim battling out. In fact, they went into a sudden death playoff. Ultimately, it was Benny An coming away with that one. Now, that was a DP World Tour event. I know that it was in South Korea, but it was still part of the DP World Tour. Benny An has actually won on the DP World Tour before. In 2015, he won the BMW PGA Championship, which is a flagship event of that tour, which at that time was called the European Tour. And so there were thoughts of what are the prospects for Benny An and how great would it be? So he's kind of coming back into form. And that's going to be a theme that we're going to get into in just a moment here on today's show. Not necessarily specific to Benny On, but specific to many big name players that we're going to take a look at it and say, what's the status of their game right now? And again, what, if we look into the crystal ball from our experts, could it tell us about perhaps 2025? The Simmons Bank Championship was won by Padraig Harrington. Starting November 7th, you're going to have the Charles Schwab Cup. So that tour will wrap up in about a week and a half from now. And at the Maybank Championship, Ronan Yin won in that competition. All right, so getting more into what I've been alluding to. First of all, Dom, I want to pull you in on this because you and Andrew have worked really hard in putting together a whole bunch of different graphics that are going to give us the ability to compare players, starting with Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele. But where are you going with the people? What are you doing with the question of the day, and how does that relate to where we're destined and heading with the show?
So I can't help but already look ahead to 2025. It's just my nature, especially after seeing Justin Thomas sort of like there's a little bit of a lightning rod there. All of a sudden he's playing well again, and it gets me thinking about next year and is there going to be a breakthrough performer next year or an unexpected performer next year that's going to have some version of what Scotty and Xander did this year? Could it be Scotty or Xander again next year? I don't know. I think there's a lot to unpack there. So we put together a bunch of stuff that I wanted to go over with you and everybody. And then we've got some tour winners coming on today. We're going to talk to them and get their thoughts on all of the above. Let me just say up front, preface all this by saying I recognize that we didn't do everybody, and there's going to be names that we didn't mention or stats that we didn't go over, certain people. I get it. But it's just a great discussion. It's a fun thing to discuss. So the first thing I want to show on the screen for everybody is a look at Scotty and Xander. And Matt, you can see what we put up there. You can read through it there for everybody. This is sort of an all-encompassing view of not only this past season for both of them, but also their careers to this point.
Yeah, let me just go through that quickly for people that are listening to us on the radio side. For Scotty, he's 28 years old, 130 starts on tour. He has 13 wins to his credit, including 2 major championships. He has 59 career top 10s. He has 44 career top 5s. Think about that for a second for 130 starts. In 2024, he won 8 times, including the Masters. He was the Olympic gold medalist, and he has 16 top 10s. For Xander, he is 31, and bear in mind, he just turned 31 during the Zozo Championship this past week. A PGA Tour starts for him, 184. He has 9 wins on the PGA Tour, 2 of which are major championships, both of which came this year, incidentally. Career top 10s, he has 65. Career top 5s, he has 47. 2024, as I mentioned, 2 wins. He won the Open, he won the PGA, and he has 15 top 10s for his efforts this year.
I mean, that's incredibly impressive, is it not?
Very impressive.
And then, so what the other graphic that we built is what I would call the pack. I just think it's something interesting to look at. Again, this is not everybody. This is just sort of the beginning of a conversation here. These are guys that had some pretty incredible years last year. You can see Colin Morikawa, Rory, McIlroy, Billy Horschel, and Sahith Theegala right there. And on the bottom, you can see their seasons this past season and what transpired for them. And then up top, you see their ages, again, how many starts they've had, sort of their career resume to this point. When you look at all of that right there, Matt, and again, we've got some tour winners coming up on the show today. We're going to ask them their thoughts about this and more. My question of the day, by the way, was about this pack list that I put together there. Mm-hmm. Which one of these guys is most likely to win a major next year from this list? And there's a couple notes here that I wanted to share. First of all, you could make a very strong argument statistically that this past season was Billy Horschel's best year on the tour ever professionally, which is insane if you think about it. He's going to turn 38 in December. And, I mean, you see, look at that, 13 top 25s. He had a runner-up. He had 2 wins. Obviously, one was on the PGA Tour, one was on the DP World Tour, the BMW PGA. And then Morikawa, again, something interesting to mention about him is his putting, his strokes gained putting was positive this year. I believe he was 60 or 61st on tour. And that was the first time he was in the green in I think 4 or 5 seasons for strokes gained putting. So again, there's little stats there. So again, the question of the day for me, Matt, was which one of these guys is most likely to win a major. But when you look at that graphic and that pack, as I call it, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I have to admit to everybody that before we went on the air today, that question that Dom asked about, you know, who do you think could be a breakaway star? I had him add Sahith to it because I think Theegala has the elements to make him a breakaway star. I think he's got the it factor. He's got the personality. He's got size. He's got strength. In 2024, Sahith did not have any wins, but he had 12 top 25s. He had 9 top 10 finishes, and he was a runner-up twice. Colin Morikawa, who Dom said had a really solid season too, in 2024, he did not have any wins. He had 16 top 25s. He had 8 top 10s. He had 2 runner-up. The only one that we haven't given you any specifics on is yet, because he was talking about Billy having his wins. Rory had 3 wins this year. And again, we're talking global at this point. 15 top 25, 7 top 10s at PGA Tour, and 1 runner-up finish at that. So, yeah, when I look at this, a couple different observations come to me. The first one is when we're talking about Scotty and Xander, what reason would there be to think that they're going to slow down? Right? That's A. And then B, when you talk about Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, Billy Horschel, or the one that I threw in there with Sahith, which I realize might surprise people. That's why I'm going to length here to explain. I put him on there because I think he's going to be a breakout star, and I think it's going to happen in 2025. But doesn't it seem a little bit odd that we're talking about the pack as in an also running an oh, by the way, and amongst them you're talking about Rory McIlroy, who seems like if he finds the winds of flight, he could win easily 2 major championships just through his ball striking. But the question is, did the U.S. Open in particular show us something with Rory McIlroy that during those crushing moments, the crucible of pressure, that it sneaks up on him? Is Rory McIlroy a guy that if he is to win a major championship, perhaps unlike early in his career, instead of charging out in front and winning it by 6 or 8, he's going to come from behind and clip somebody by maybe 1. We'll see. So we've got a lot to go through with you. We've got a couple of guests coming up that are 2 of my favorite people in all of the game to weigh in on these matters and more, including clarification of a major champion that I think you guys are going to find fun and maybe shocking in its clarity or lack thereof, that we're going to talk about with these 2 gents as well. The Fairways of Life show is presented by the PGA Tour Superstore. They are number 1 from coast to coast, your number 1 golf retailer, because they're big, beautiful stores. If you swing it, if you wear it, if you need to learn from it, you'll find it all within their walls for your golf game. And then what I think is their chief attribute is that you're dealing with men and women that are professionals. They have a vested interest in your best interest. Find them at the PGA Tour Superstore.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm-up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, it creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core column material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
All right, welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Matt Adams here with you. Pleasure to have your company. Dom and Andrew behind the glass. Dom, are you hearing anything back on your question of the day, which if you guys want to weigh in on, vote, as that's like the primary discussion right now, isn't it, in the world? You can vote on the Fairways of Life YouTube channel on his question of the day. So if you would, Dom, repeat and tell us how things are going.
Who's most likely to win a major in 2025 from this group? Sahith Theegala, Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and Billy Horschel. And we went through those stats in the last segment there of how their season last year transpired. Right now, it's 67% are saying Rory is going to get over the hump. I think it's what was 2014 his last? It's been more than a decade now. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. That's a long time to not win a major and then just win a major.
There you go. I guess I've been promising the first of which is Tripp Isenhour. He's won 6 times amongst professional ranks. 4 of those were on the Korn Ferry. He had 306 starts on tour, 24 career top 10s. Always a pleasure to have his company. Tripp, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, my friend. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. So when I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the first segment. We were going through the prospects of the like of Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele, to say for those two players in the career that they had, take a look at this graphic. For those two players and what they did in this past year, in your mind, is there any reason to believe that the path is going to alter in 2025 from anything that you've said or heard?
No, absolutely not. I've said all along that two sides of this. I said Scotty Scheffler is going to have a Tiger-like run, but he's not. He's got such a great support system off the golf course. He has golf really in perspective. I see another, 3 to 6 win season out of him. I really do, and I see a major. There's nothing in his game since he switched to that mallet putter. And, that would be the only thing. And really, when you look at it statistically, which is my job, it was really from one area, 5 to 10 feet. When he putted better than the field average from 5 to 10 feet, he won. When he didn't, he finished second or third. So that's the fine line that you have with Scotty Scheffler. And again, I go to the off-course stuff in his life and just what he has going. There are no speed bumps unless, some more Louisville cops round him up and put him in jail again. I don't see, I can't see anything stopping him, because that was really about the only thing that stopped him on that run he was going into Valhalla. But then on the flip side of it, you go to Schauffele. his body of work in majors was like right away. You were like, this guy's got the chops to win majors. And it was once he gets over the hump, because golf is a confidence thing and it snowballs. And, Paul Azinger used to say it, and I've heard it said many times. When you are playing well with confidence, you feel like you're never going to play bad. And when you don't have any confidence and you're playing poor, you feel like you're never going to play good again. I mean, you feel so bulletproof when you're at the top and you're doing everything right. But, these two have great, again, support systems. They have, I think, things in perspective. And I just look at Xander now that he has the confidence that he knows he can close the deal. And you
Also
look at what
Scotty
he did.
became a dad this year as well.
That was so impressive. Some of those shots he was hitting on a very tough day, on a tough golf course, he has that ball striking prowess. And then he backs it up now with the confidence of making those key putts. I see Xander in the mix. He doesn't have a game that fits one major. He's got a game that can fit all four. So I think Xander could possibly pop off another major next year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the four majors again, winners next year. Getting two, well, you know how special and rare that is. I don't think he'll be able to duplicate that, but I do think he'll be right there even if he doesn't ultimately win a major championship in all four.
Tripp, there's two things I want to ask you about, and I'm kind of summarizing at the front end because you get talking and we go in a direction, then I forget what I was going to ask you. But the two things I wanted to ask you about was Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele away from the golf course. They probably, to me, represent the epitome of being unaffected by star status. That's one thing that I want to get you to weigh in on. And the other one about Xander specifically is talk to us about the way that he loads into his right side and how that has resulted in greater length without losing accuracy for Xander. So start where you want to with those two halves, but I wanted to get him out there up front.
I'll answer the first question first. That's my exact point is off the golf course. They're not to a level where I think it's their system that keeps them grounded. That look, I'm a golfer. Like Scotty says, I play golf for a living. That's not who I am. I've got a complete different deal. Xander seems like a little bit of that as well. Maybe not as much as Scotty, but I don't think that they're, and it is tough when you get up to that level. And, my first year on tour was the year 2001 when Tiger Mania was going crazy. And just to see all the things that he had to deal with, these guys have to deal with it on a lesser level. But, a guy like Rory McIlroy, he has to deal with a lot of different things. And these guys deal with it so well and just put it in its little box. And then, like you said, away from the golf course, it doesn't become who they are. And I think that's part of the reason why you're going to see prolonged success from both of them. Loading into Xander's right side, I have not really studied that much. I do know that technically his golf swing, is as solid as you can get. He hits the right positions. But he's always done that. I think his ball striking has always been pretty good. The key for him was, that key up and down, that key putt that now once you've gotten over the hump and you've made a couple of those and you've done it, you're like, and now you're comfortable in that situation knowing that you have done it before. So it's a chicken and egg thing. The confidence, where does it come from? It comes from actually doing it and, failing and then actually getting it done. And Scotty Scheffler's the same way. When he won for his first time in Phoenix years ago that started all this great run, you remember he was close a number of times. And he actually said it. He said, I realize I don't have to play perfect golf to win golf tournaments. I just realized that, there were other times I felt like I had to do things different in a different way to be a winner. And I love that interview after Phoenix. He was like, look, I didn't even play that great this week, but I still won the tournament. And then that gave him the confidence that, hey, if I hit one in the water on 15, so what? Big deal. I know I can recover from that and go on and win a tournament. And when you've never won before, that ball in the water becomes a much bigger deal on the 15th hole than to a guy who's won multiple times. And those are the little things, the nuances that happen from guys once they get their first win, and why very talented players such as these two go on to win again and again and again.
GapGolfCoach.com is Tripp's website. How's that going for you, Tripp?
Yeah, everything's good. We're doing some different things with it, having fun. I'm loving the fact that I'm teaching some juniors and some college level players, and that is so much fun. I never thought I would get into that, but really working on. I've got a library of Dr. Rotella's stuff that's so great, and helping these young men and women with their mental games and their short games, because it's like I tell a kid that's going to college, very talented. I'm like, from here on out, it's your short game and how good you are from 150 yards and in, because that will be the separator. The guys that get into college that don't work on those things and don't get good at it don't make it to the PGA Tour. And the ones who learn to practice that way, who learn to focus on those mental techniques that it takes, especially with the short game. And I was so lucky that I had Dr. Bob Rotella telling me all that stuff.
So
when I was
ask him about Ryder Cup.
I worked on that very, very hard.
Awesome. Before we switch segments here and come back with yet another guest to tackle a very weighty subject on this Tuesday, I did want you to take a look at this graphic that the guys are calling the pack. And they were going through some mental debate this morning of what to call this graphic, because you've got the likes of Rory McIlroy and Colin Morikawa. These are just four names. This list could go much, much deeper. And I admitted to the fact that I added Sahith Theegala because I just am a huge fan, and I think he's going to have a breakout year in 2025. We just talked about Scotty and Xander and that they're capable of keeping a very high-level run going. When you see these names and these players, what strikes you?
Well, I mean, you've got some major winners and some non-major winners, but Rory McIlroy stands alone. I think he's the one here. But Billy Horschel, what a year for him! I think his year has been exceptional. You look at how hard he worked and where he was. I interviewed him in the Dominican after he won, and I was, the question I asked him is, I said, because that was in March, and I said, in May of last year, you said you were at your lowest point in golf. Did you think you could get back to this point? And he was, very emotional, but he said, no, I never doubted I couldn't get back here. And I think that hard work and that dedication is great for Billy. Sahith is so talented. You should add him to this. I would put Tom Kim on this list, certainly, because I think that Tom Kim is that special player. Now he's got his swing technique back. But if you're talking about who's going to win a major, I heard you in the first thing talking about who's going to win a major next year out of this group. I think it's Colin Morikawa. I've been out with him a couple of times at U.S. Opens, and I was out with him at Pinehurst on Saturday. And
John just hooked up.
I can tell you this right here, that he is absolutely just so good with his irons. He shot the easiest 66 on an incredibly difficult Pinehurst number 2 that I didn't see anybody breaking 70, and he made it look easy. And I was also out with him at Torrey Pines that John Rahm won in the final round, and he had hit all 12 greens through there and should have been 2 or 3 more under par than he was, but he was within 1 or 2 of the lead. And he messed up a layup on the 13th and ended up making a double bogey, or else I think he would have had a really good chance to win that U.S. Open. He's just too good. He's putting very consistently now. He's actually gaining strokes with his putter. So I think of this group, who's going to win a major next year, I would put it with Colin Morikawa, and I would certainly bet on a U.S. Open for him. I know he's got a PGA and an Open championship, but his game at a U.S. Open and a place like Oakmont, ooh, man, if he putts anywhere decent, better than the average, I think Colin Morikawa could hold a U.S. Open trophy.
Yeah, I think that's the key. It goes back to the same thing you were talking about with Scotty, that even average putting, you see it propel them to the top of the leaderboard. He's 136 in 2024 in distance off the tee, but he stands in very good stead in terms of total driving, which is that combination, folks, of both accuracy and distance, which is why he plays so well. And particularly, I think it would set him up very well. He's already won an Open. I think he's always going to be, if his ball striking and putting is on song, going to be a threat there as well because of how well he can strike the ball. All right, so we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to go too wide with our guests and be joined by another one of my favorite people in the game of golf, and always a unique voice that you can hear through multiple mediums. We'll be joined by John Maginnes right after this, alongside of Tripp Isenhour. Stay with us.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The best feeling iron I've ever hit. Introducing the new Gen 7 irons, the greatest leap forward in irons technology, in performance, in PXG history. Our new quantum core material explodes off the face. Are you kidding me? The Gen 7 irons deliver groundbreaking new levels of forgiveness, speed, distance, and feel. That's what I'm talking about right there. Look at that trajectory. Just phenomenal. Gen 7, it doesn't get any better.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after the PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show. Pleasure to have your company from wherever you are joining us. John Maginnes is a face and voice that you're familiar with. He's a longtime co-host of Katrick and Maginnes on Tap on SiriusXM's PGA Tour Radio. You can catch John's work on course everywhere, on Golf Channel, CBS's work, as well as PGA Tour Live, ESPN Plus, and others. Always a pleasure to be hanging with John Maginnes. Johnny, how you doing? How you holding up?
Oh, man, I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. I feel like joining you and Tripp, it's like the name of the show, The President of the Leprechaun? Is that what you guys are calling it these days?
I'll tell you what, to that point, I'm trying to get him to go to Ireland with us, Johnny. Next April, when we have that huge trip going. Yeah, Northwest Ireland. And then, Tripp, when we go into Northern Ireland, we're going to play not only Royal Portrush right before the Open comes through, but we're also going to play Royal County Down. So we're putting a full court press on national TV right now.
Rest up your liver. But anyway, what I will say to this is now you've added beauty to the show, Matt. You know, you add beauty to the show, and now I don't even know what to do. I'm like enthralled with John on the show.
Oh, I'm always enthralled with John. All right. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, as you can see, I'm constantly on the move. I just, most of our peers are doing the preschool drop-off at 8:30 in the morning, which is what I just accomplished their trip.
Yeah, I've seen you at 8:30 in the morning many times, but not dropping anything off. You were dropping yourself off a few times.
All right, so you guys I've assembled as an esteemed panel, and I need you to hear this so we can come up with a consensus. We're talking about a multiple-time major champion. You guys broadcast to millions and millions of people on a daily and weekly basis at least. All right, so Andrew, go ahead and let's play these 3 different cuts, and then we're going to get a reaction from these 2 guys. Go right ahead.
My name is Xander Schauffele.
Hey, Xander Schauffele here.
Hey, everybody. Xander Schauffele here.
All right, I'm hearing Xander Schauffele. Pull up the graphic, Andrew, of how the PGA Tour says that the name should be pronounced. This is from the PGA Tour themselves, and they're saying it should be Schauffele. Schauffele. And it sounds to me like Schauffele, but let's go back to our panel. First of all, we'll start with Tripp. Tripp, what are you hearing?
I've always said Schauffele, but I guess I'm saying it wrong. Schauffele. Schauffele is what sounded like he said.
No, that's not what he said. All right, Johnny, what do you got?
The beauty of my job is I don't have to say it. I say Xander has 194 yards. This is a 7-iron, and everybody knows who I'm talking about.
That's how he does it. All right, Andrew, give me the most recent one of Xander saying his own name. Loop it for me. Can you do that? Just play it like 10 times so we can hear how he says it.
Hey, everybody. Xander Schauffele here. 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 Hey, everybody. Xander Schauffele here.
Schauffele.
Hey, everybody. Xander Schauffele here. Hey, everybody.
Schauffele.
I'm recognizing something there that Tripp is acutely trained to recognize as well. Is there a chance that he'd been day drinking?
You know, that's a fair point, John.
I don't think he had all of his faculties.
That's astute analysis right there from John.
He thinks he was missing one syllable in there, but we have 3 different cuts of him saying his name. The first one sounded a little bit different. It was from a number of years ago, but the latter 2 sound the exact same to me, and it sounds like he's saying Schauffele.
Schauffele. That's what it sounds
like
to me.
As good a name. He should not go with that.
No,
should not go with
Schauffele sounds better.
You should never have a name that rhymes with awful.
So next time you guys are out, ask him, because I think we as an entire industry are saying the name incorrectly for a multiple-time major champion. I think, go ahead, Andrew, play it again so we get one more.
My name is Xander Schauffele.
That was Schauffele.
Hey, Xander Schauffele here. Hey, everybody, Xander Schauffele here.
Well, he sounded very demonic there. Xander Schauffele. Dom's in my ear screaming that he's saying his own name wrong. That I don't.
Well, look, Ludwig changed the way that he says his name at least 6 times over the last year and a half. And
Yeah, but we're still not getting it right.
Has there ever been a player more in need of a nickname than Ludwig Oberg?
Oh, yeah. Well, he may have one. Did you ever ask him? What did his buddies call him in college?
Stud.
Yeah.
Sure bet.
Yeah.
We'll see how he's. Yeah, that's a good one to bring up. Tripp, I was asking you last segment. We'll get Johnny involved in this conversation about. It's hard to call any of these players the best in the world, a breakout player. But Ludwig, he slowed down, but then he had the knee surgery, and we assume that he's he's on the mend. Johnny, let me just bring him up to speed in what we've been doing because he was doing the school drop-off while we were talking about it. We put up this graphic that will be on your screen, and folks that are listening to us on the radio side, I'll explain to you what's up there. It's a graphic of performance from Scotty Scheffler and from Xander Schauffele for the year that was. For Scotty, 8 wins. Of course, he won the Masters. He won the gold medal, 16 top 10s. Xander, 2 wins. They were both majors, the Open and the PGA, with 15 top 10s. But then we put up this second graphic, Johnny, and we debated what to call this graphic, and no names seemed to fit. We called it the pack. And these are just 4 players, top players, that we could look at it and say, are they going to dominate in 2025? Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, Billy Horschel with the form that he showed us, particularly through the latter half of the year, though we won in the spring. Sahith Theegala as well. So, Johnny, it's just, if you would, just weigh in on that for a second, and let me ask you the same question. Is there any reason to believe that Scotty and Xander are not going to just duplicate the year that they had in 2024 again in 2025?
I think the reasons to believe it is that it's so hard to do. You know, the old saying, you know, why is it so hard to back up a great round with another great round? Well, because it's so hard to have the great round in the first place. Well, Scotty had a bunch of them. I feel like Rory has one more great run in him. I feel like there's so many great players out there that staying on top.
Go to John. Let me see John full screen.
Nah. I think that if you look at this group, there's only one guy that sustained it for a long period of time. None of those guys were in the top 10 in the world 10 years ago, except for Rory. You know, he's got one more run in him. I know he should have won at LA. He should have won at the old course. He should have done this. He should have done that. He's not done yet. He's got one more great run in him, and I think that it's coming this coming year.
That's interesting because if we compare that chart, other than Billy Horschel, the rest of those guys compared to Rory were probably in early years of high school, and maybe one of them in late middle school at that. So it speaks to the longevity of Rory McIlroy at 35 years old. That in some ways feels old because we see Rory as eternally young, but in other ways he's right in the prime of his career. So Tripp, we're going to bid you adieu on this day. Thank you very much for hanging with us because we're going to jump in here with Johnny, but I wanted to get you guys side by side and get your take on Xander's name, and it sounds like we haven't come up with a definitive consensus, at least on our part.
And by the way, just so you know, this guy and I, we've known each other since we were 13, 14 years old, played junior golf together. We've run together for a long time, so it's always good to be with my good friend John. And man, oh man, Ireland sure looks good, my friend.
So is that a
commitment?
commitment?
It's a great idea.
I told you I'm going to work on it. I told you I'm going to work on it.
Tripp, I think the statute of limitations laws were made for guys just like us.
No kidding. And thank goodness a lot of them have run.
I have a feeling there's a lot of laws that these guys feel like were not made for them at all. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to dive into it with John Maginnes and go down some of these similar pathways that we went with Tripp in terms of what does 2024, what does this time of year, perhaps, if you talk about JT, for an example, does any of it foretell anything towards 2025, or is it a fresh slate? Johnny's already weighed in slightly on that in terms of what he expects, but we'll continue the conversation right after these words.
I got ball fit in 2000 and went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Super easy to hit. Introducing the new PXG Black Ops irons, our first game improvement iron.
It's a larger face heel to toe.
It launches the ball high in the air and really far.
Much higher levels of forgiveness. You set that club down, creates a lot of confidence. It's supported by this X-Core polymer material.
And that's where you get improved ball speed. If you're looking for a distance, forgiveness, and feel, Black Ops iron is going to be for you.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, pleasure to have your company. We got stars and cars today, and John Maginnes joining us. But before we go back to Johnny, Dom, I wanted to bring you back in because I want you to review one more time for us the question of the day is setting the table here, and where's the voting at currently? You guys can vote on the Fairways of Life YouTube channel.
Sure. Andrew, put that chart back up with the four guys we were talking about earlier today with the statistics of the pack. I know we could add so many more names to this list, but that's okay. We started here. My question of the day was, who is most likely to win a major championship from this group, from this pack group you're looking at? And earlier in the program, it was Rory going strong, but right now it's Colin Morikawa at 48%, Matt, who's taken the lead. And also a minor side note here, the Giants suck at football. Just wanted to add that.
Oh, all right. So we've got the Giants weighing in on the NFL. I'm surprised we haven't heard from anybody about the Yankees being down 3 games to the Dodgers after pretty much everybody from this weekend when I was hosting on Golf Central to here, everybody picked the Yankees, and the Yankees are 0 for 3 as yet. Okay, so John Maginnes, I want to start out with this question for you. I'm wondering if the game at its highest competitive tiers suffers from a sort of disconnect right now, meaning that, you know, what's going on between rival leagues and negotiations and the status of all that and all this news that swirls around what actually happens with club in hand, where we have seen performances like we already started to discuss from Scotty and from Xander, where we have seen performances from young up-and-coming players, some of them amateurs like Clanton, for example, which is unbelievable amongst the professional ranks. I have this feeling, and I'm not trying to be leading, I'm just trying to figure it out. I have this feeling that we might be in a sort of, call it mini or maybe not so mini, golden age of the game competitively. And is that message getting somewhat overshadowed or at least obscured because of what's going on outside the ropes?
I don't think there's any question. And how could it not be? We've had 3 years now of internal strife, and it's done nothing but hurt the game with our fans. Now, has it made the players a whole lot more money? Yes. Will it end up making the PGA Tour a better place when everybody comes back together? Probably. And Phil could take credit for it because that's what he does. He takes credit. And so can Greg. I don't care. I just want them all back playing together. In Phoenix, I want John Rahm wearing the silly jersey. And, I want all the things that we've come to love about the game to return. And they're still there. All the elements are still there. And look, if the other side, and by the other side, I mean the league and not the tour, if the league was trying to destroy the tour, which it looked like they were for a little while, they would have kept firing, but they haven't. They haven't kept firing. They've started trying to adapt and to change. So I feel like a resolution's coming, Maddie, and I don't think it can come soon enough because I do think that we have lost an awful lot of fans. We learned at the U.S. Open this year from the USGA that the game has never been younger than it is right now. That's a great thing, especially for young broadcasters. Maybe not us old broadcasters, but if the game has never been younger, then we need to do something to grab that fact. And I look forward to seeing what the next chapter looks like because the beginning of this book has not been all that much fun to read.
By the way, Johnny, are you at the longest red light in the history of mankind right now?
You're not gonna believe me. I'm actually waiting outside now. The preschool and the yoga studio are on the same block, and I'm going to the 9 o'clock yoga class. If you'd like, I'll take you inside right now.
I don't believe you, to tell you the truth. Not unless they're giving away something for free.
No, come on, I'm taking you with me.
Come on.
Yeah,
all right, you walk with me. I'll go with you. You walk us into the yoga class to prove that you're really going there. But as we're walking, we're going to continue this conversation. So to the point, you talked about the kind of macro stuff, the global stuff that you alluded to the ratings and that. What's that, the sign outside? Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to see if they immediately.
I told you, I'm coming inside. This is the yoga studio. And there's not only the yoga studio owner.
Is she pushing the button that calls
studio
police?
Teacher today. That's also my wife, Caitlin.
Oh, hello, Caitlin.
See, I really am at the yoga studio. Bye, Caitlin. I'll be back.
That's very impressive. So we did walk in.
Now I got to go back to my car because I can't actually hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to talk really slowly so you can read my lips as we're moving along here. What I wanted to ask you about was, you just alluded to the fact like ratings are down or people are upset in terms of how they consume the game. But if you look at the way the game is consumed in other new mediums, that of which both of us work in, it's up with this younger demographic. It's easier for them to find it. They know how to use the technology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to the point that I was making with clubs in hand, the quality of the play that we saw in 2024 speaks to the depth of the game. And that's considering that some big names, for example, like a Justin Thomas or a Jordan Spieth, weren't even on form, and yet we had wildly entertaining golf to carry us through. Are you back in the car? We had wildly entertaining golf to carry us through 2024. So I'm just trying to connect the dots in all this.
I mean, I thought 2024 from the standpoint when you start with Nick Dunlap, and you continue on through through the season with what Scotty and Xander did. And then all of these young players emerging. I mean, look at what Nico just did this past weekend. I mean, the tour, the game has never been deeper. It's never been in a better place. We keep going to these fabulous venues. I can't wait to get back to Oakmont. Look, the Masters delivers every single year. And then Bryson doing what he did at Pinehurst was beyond the scope. So look, the game keeps delivering. It's gonna be fantastic. We keep getting off on the tangent with Liv. Like I said before, I'm ready for it to be over with because there's so much great golf right now.
Do you have reason to believe, we brought up JT, so I just want to finish the thought on him. Do you have reason to believe that what we saw, I mean, it's a small sample survey with how he played at the Zozo. He made a lot of good putts. He just had slight misses on his reads. Do you have reason to believe that JT might be coming back to form for 25?
I do. I feel like with his game, there was a lot of misses. The golf swing wasn't there for periods of time. And remember, he had a few weeks in there where he'd go out by himself, and Mike wouldn't be there. His dad is forever teacher, and he was trying to figure it out on his own. And he went to that tight little golf course over there in Japan, and you got to work it both ways. And he worked it both ways, and yeah, he could have made a few more putts, but when his both ways are working, it's really fun to watch. As much fun as anybody on tour for me, because he can hit that slinging hook out there like he hit off the 18th tee at the Players a few years ago. He can hit that hold off fade. He can hit high fades. He flights his irons as well as anybody. And yeah, you guys were talking before I came on about Colin Morikawa and Xander Schauffele and their ability to win golf tournaments. I'm sorry, Colin Morikawa and Scotty Scheffler without putting as well as everybody else in the field. Well, JT has that same ability. He just needs average putting weeks when he hits it like that, and he'll win tons of golf tournaments.
Yeah, and with PGA returning to some familiar hunting grounds for him, should be a good look too.
For some reason, I'm having trouble hearing you now, Matty. It could be age.
Right.
It could be something else.
I love Johnny. He is one of a kind in the world of golf. So, Johnny, we'll let you go. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck heading back into the yoga studio. Be careful in there.
Look, I'm going to go Chaturanga and down dog. I mean, fat man can down dog too. I need a T-shirt that says "Fat man can down dog."
With those words, we say goodbye to John Maginnes. And folks, thank you so much for your company today. It was a pleasure having Tripp Isenhour on. I get the chance to work with Tripp a lot. I love Johnny. He's one of my favorite people, as I mentioned, all in the world of golf. And I can't wait to take Johnny back to Ireland next spring. And I'm hoping that Tripp joins us for the same. And I'm hoping that you guys have a great one until we are together again about a week from now. Until that time, be well, folks. And goodbye for now.